Hello, my love, and welcome to Seen, the podcast that helps you to stop hiding, claim your worth, and build the most vibrant version of your life possible. Thank you so much for being here. Hello, my love, and welcome to Seen. And today I really wanted to get a little bit more practical and tactical with you and talk a little bit about how to turn visibility into revenue. So most women that I speak to, they want to be seen, they want to make their business bigger, they want to do these big things, but they just don't know how to actually turn that into a tangible of profit and revenue. Sometimes they don't even know how to do the first part, which is the visibility. But then the second part is actually being able to leverage that visibility so that you can do whatever you want, essentially. Because once you have a system that can turn visibility into revenue, the world is your oyster. You can do pretty much whatever you want. You can live where you would like to live. You can work with who you want to work. You can do all of these things that you want to do and follow your dreams and your goals. So today is going to be a bit more of a breakdown as to how I can work 20 hours a week at the moment doing work that I'm absolutely passionate about. I've only got one day of scheduled calls and I still make multiple six figures a year doing work I absolutely love. And I didn't come here the easy route. I went through all of the different things with my first business to get to where I am today. And look, I'm not saying that you should have the same life as me. You might want to work more, want to work less, maybe want more money, whatever it is. But this is still the same system that will allow you to grow your business without adding more hours to your week. And what you do with those hours is up to you, of course. So let me break it down for you. So like today, I'm recording this podcast. I'm loving doing this podcast. I've got sourdough freshly baked in the oven. I just spent the morning in the swimming pool with my kids and I've got the most incredible clients. And I just feel so lucky that my life and business is set up the way that it is now. But it took a little bit of work to get it to the point that it's at. And I hope I can actually save you some of that work by just sharing the framework that I use today, because it's actually really, really simple. And most people that I speak to, they are overcomplicating this so much. Like I really believe that simplicity is the key to growing a business with ease. And there's a few things that I want to say about this. So the first thing that I see all the time is people looking at these really big business owners, these really big influencers, and trying to do what they're doing, thinking that that's what you need to do to grow. So they might look at the likes of Amy Porterfield or Marie Forleo or all these people that have a presence on multiple platforms. They've got podcasts, they've got YouTube channels, they've got all of these offers. And so they think, okay, I need a funnel, and then I need a lead magnet. I need, a tripwire, and then I need an email sequence, and then I need to be doing LinkedIn outreach, and I need to be doing all of these things. And so most women I meet, they're like so busy running themselves in a circle, doing all of these things and really having very, very little to show for it. So if you're listening, I don't know if that's you, maybe you can relate to elements of this. I'm here to tell you that it does not have to be this complicated. Like I would barter a guess that you are overcomplicating your business vastly. And I really want to show you how you can strip it back. The next thing to really keep in mind is that you really need to just have such a dialed in offer in order to make anything work and to really understand like what you love and what your purpose is and what you really can show up doing best in the world. Because I made this mistake myself where when I knew that I wanted to finish up doing agency work and I was sick of trading time for money, I just remember it was deadline after deadline. And even though I had a team of 12 and even up to a team of 30 with contractors, I was still the one managing everything. And even when I brought in people to manage certain areas, there's always things going wrong. Like there's always things happening, as you would know. And I'm always the one that had to step in and fix it. Of course, when you're the business owner, the buck stops with you. And so I had a choice back then when I was, doing the traditional agency model and the traditional business model, time for money, service-based business. I could have, in my eyes, I could have brought in a CEO to run that, Or I could completely change my business model so that I didn't need such a big team and I didn't have all these crazy systems and I didn't have such complicated workflows and such a complicated business. And so I chose the latter because I knew even if I brought in a CEO, there's still going to be so many different problems that I have to step into. And so that was really the starting point for me to try and work out what my next iteration of my business was going to be that would allow me to work less hours while still making great money and still having an amazing impact and doing the work that I love and being able to grow. And so I had this challenge in front of me. I was like, how am I going to figure this out? Like, I know that I cannot keep doing what I'm doing, but I had no idea what it would look like as a next iteration. I had an idea that I wanted to share my knowledge. Like, I love the problem solving and I love helping people. And I had an idea that I wanted to share that knowledge. I didn't know what format. So I literally spent months just when I was like quite heavily pregnant. And then when my son was first born, just putting everything into a Google Doc, just brain dumping, like, what do people need? What can I help them with? What if I was to just teach someone tomorrow, how to get clients and how to build their brand? What would I tell them? And I was just writing stories and anecdotes and things that happened to me over the years and lessons that I've learned. And at that point, there was so much happening that I was like, I need some help here. I need someone that can like wade through this with me and figure out what this is going to look like. And so at that point, I hired a coach to help me. And that was one of the best things I could have possibly done. Not that they even gave me all the answers, but just to help me get that clarity and have someone to bounce all of this off of. And so that was really the starting point of this new iteration of my business. And what now is Booked Out Brand. And it became this 90-day program. And it was a combination. I knew I really wanted to not to be a course. I did not want it to be a course. I wanted to be a lot of support. I knew that I only wanted to be on calls like 1 or 2 hours a week, but I was happy to check in other than that. So I came up with like a hybrid model where I was doing a beautiful program. There was all the lessons in there, everything that I've kind of learned, everything that applies to getting clients online using social media and by building your brand. And so I put together my entire framework as to how to do that, because at the time I'd been working with all of these massive coaches and industry experts, helping them to really grow their business rapidly online. And I had learned a lot from that. And so I put together a framework of just looking at all of my top performing clients and my top performing campaigns. And I really looked at what was kind of like the common denominator between all of these campaigns and businesses? What was the thing that moved the needle the most and the thing that was kind of like the most bang for your buck in terms of like marketing initiatives? And so that's what I put together as my Booked Out Brand framework. And then I started getting clients into it. I built a system to bring in clients. And that was really done quite easily, because at first it started with having this no-brainer offer. And so if you're listening today and you're wondering, how am I going to scale my business? How am I going to grow without more hours? It's actually about stripping back and not adding more. So looking at what you do right now and asking yourself, what could be my signature hero offer? And you want to make sure that that's something that also is not just like one-to-one coaching or one-to-one providing services. It's really looking at a package that you can create that is really driven by the outcome that someone will get. So it's about looking at like, what do my clients really want from me? And I'll give you an example. With me, I could have said, oh, they want branding, they want social media, they want all these things. They want refinement of their offer. They want help with their messaging. And it's like, yes, they do want all those things, but what do they want that for? What is the deeper thing that they want that for? Because no one just wants social media. Like, sometimes it's a necessary evil, you're just like, I need to be on social media and I want a great way of showing up, but you don't necessarily want that as the end outcome. It's about getting more clients and getting in front of more people. And so really thinking about, what do people actually want? And for me, they want clients. They want consistent clients, because a lot of women that I work with, they have just struggled so much in the past with, yes, they might even get some clients, but it's not consistent. It's like this revenue roller coaster. 1 month it's up, 1 month it's down. And they were really stressed about that. And they really had no system to bring in clients. So I knew that people wanted consistent clients. They needed a way that was predictable to bring in consistent clients every single month. And so that became my North Star when I was looking at developing my offer. And so I kept that at the forefront of my mind. And I really asked myself, like, if I just had, say, my best friend come to me now, and she was working in a service-based business and she was trading time for money. She was an expert at what she did, but she was over her business model. I just thought to myself, what would be the exact steps I would get her to take, step by step, to ensure that at the end, she is bringing in consistent leads and clients by the end. And that just became my North Star as to what I was building. And anything that didn't help in that transformation got left out, because it's also important what you cut out of this, because you don't want people getting overwhelmed. Now, for anyone listening and thinking, oh, like that doesn't apply to me, I don't think like I can do a program, that's not what I want to do. That's fine. You don't, like, a program is one way of doing this. It doesn't have to be a program. But what you do need to consider is, even if you do have services, what is that hero service? Or can you combine a few things to make this like unicorn service that puts you in a category of one as well? You do not want people comparing you apples for oranges or apples for apples even. You do not want people saying, oh, I'm going to get a quote for 5 people for branding, or I'm going to get like 5 accountants to give me a proposal and just see what their approach would be. You want to make this offer a category of one, where it's like, oh, I really haven't heard of anyone else doing this. And look, what I do, of course, there's lots of other people that help people to get clients. But the point of difference for me was, we've got multiple calls a week that they can join. They get unlimited support and feedback from me directly every single day. So as they're working through my framework, which I give them and they can literally install in their business, I am looking through every single thing that they're doing, giving them feedback, giving them advice, writing things for them, like rewriting, editing. Like, it's like having a strategist in your pocket. And so there is no other program that I know of that goes to that level of detail. And for me, this is a win-win. And so that's the other thing you have to think about with your offer. What can be a win-win offer where your client gets the most incredible experience and they have the most amazing results at the end? But it's also a win for you, because it works around your life. Because otherwise you're going to get burnt out and you're going to get resentful and you're not going to be able to scale. You cannot scale manual work and you cannot scale chaos. So it's like, what would be a win? And for me, a win was that I've only got a couple of calls in my diary each week, and I have it on the same day. So I can really manage that quite easily with the kids and everything. And when I give people feedback and when I do the support element, I do that at any time of day. So I'll do it every day, but at any time, which really works with my schedule, because right now I'm in a season where I don't have really reliable childcare. I don't have, there's always things happening with kids, as you know, if you have young kids, and I'm sure you can imagine if not. So it's really about looking at the season of life that you're in and what can you actually commit to, what can you do, and what's going to fuel you as well and free up your time to do other things too. And we're going to circle back to this in a minute, because this is also critical, because we're going to talk next about the visibility element and how to get more eyes on your offer. But if you don't have time to work on your brand, if you don't have time to post on social media, to do sales calls, to speak to prospects, to do all of these things, there is no way that your business can grow. So that is another reason that this offer has to be a win-win. It has to be incredible for your customer, but it has to be something that you can actually scale, that they get great value, but you can scale by giving them the tools and the support and pulling things together, that it's not just trading time for money, and that you can get the great outcome. And that's about using your creativity. What else can you put in place? Can you use AI? Can you use a team member? Can you use a repeatable framework that they get access to? Is there a way to do different things that it's not always calls? It's really about getting creative with that, because I will never forget when I had my agency, I always would hear from these big business owners, like some of their advice would always be work on your business. You should be spending 70 to 80% of your time working on your brand, your business. And I always thought, how in the name of God could I ever possibly do that? That's impossible, because I was spending 100% of my time putting out fires, manually doing things, custom quoting, like managing the team, all like in spreadsheets, in like project management tools. There's no way I could have done that. And so that's why it brings it back to this offer as well. It's so critical to get right. Number one, because if you have an amazing offer, it's so much easier to sell. But number two, so that you can actually focus on growing your business and you have an offer that supports that. So the first thing that I'd like you to do, if this is something that you really want to do, you really want to grow your business without adding hours, it's to take an inventory of what you're currently doing. Ask yourself, what is the service or the outcome that my clients get the most excited about? What is something that they're just like, oh my God, I need that so much. Like when you're on a sales call, that's the thing that gets them over the line, because they're like, please just help me with that. Like, what is the thing that they are just like craving and really need from you? It's like an easier sell. Clients are so happy with when you do that. Think about what that is. Now think about what you love doing, like what lights you up and you just are so passionate about. And you really need to find that sweet spot as to what you absolutely love, what your clients get the most amazing outcome from, and then looking at how you can structure that in a way that it can be a win-win offer, that you both get what you want without sacrificing, all of your time and doing things so manually, which does not have to be done. And if you're feeling resistance to this right now and you're like, oh, but in my industry and I promise you there's a way, and you just have to expand your vision and look for other people that are doing similar things, or, just expand your vision of what's real, because sometimes we just need to see someone else doing something similar to really open our mind to like, wow, there is other ways of doing things, because I've not come across a business yet where this cannot be done. Okay. So that's the first thing, is really having this just knockout offer. Okay, that's going to be the first step in really growing your business. Now, the next thing that you need to do is focus on you as the personal brand, because even though we're going to be in a category of one with our offer, there's still going to be offers that might be similar, or even though it's different, people will still group you in with other things. And so by leveraging you, your story, your expertise, your point of difference, your point of view, your personal brand, that is what will make people buy from you versus someone else. And so if you've got this category of one offer, and then you've got this credible personal brand, you join those together and you're differentiating yourself even more. And there's so much to say about this, because, everyone's scared about what's going to happen with AI. Is it going to take over? Is it going to take our jobs? Is it going to change things? Are people going to still pay for what I do? And when you can be in this category where it's like you've got IP and you are this credible expert and you've got a leverage brand and you've got this incredible offer, then you can actually use AI to like duplicate yourself, right? Like you can clone yourself. I've got a clone that I'm working on at the moment that I've trained on like a year of coaching. I've uploaded all the calls, all my frameworks, and I've now got a clone that I can give to all of my clients to give feedback and to essentially act like I would act and give them all this personalized advice, right? Now, if you I'm still working on building my personal brand. If we look at someone like Tony Robbins, like they're next level again. If you can have like an even bigger personal brand, like people will want your AI, like Tony Robbins AI. Oh, cool. I can like almost like have a one-to-one with Tony Robbins, but it's his clone, right? So that's kind of what we're aspiring to, is the bigger our brand gets, the more that we can actually use AI in a way that people will actually be drawn to. Whereas if you don't have a brand, like no one wants Joe Blogg's AI. You know what I mean? Like no one wants that. No one cares, because there's no IP there. There's no credibility there. And so the more that you can build your brand as AI comes in, that can actually just duplicate you and people want that, versus Joe Blogs, who, no one wants that AI. And so AI just replaces Joe Blogs. And so it's so critical to really start building your personal brand, to sharing your thoughts, your opinions, your point of difference, not this fluffy, beige ChatGPT stuff, but real things that you feel about your industry and things that are really going to help your clients. So that's the second thing, because once we start putting in this predictable system that gets us leads and sales, which we'll talk about next, when people come back to your page and they look at the profile, they need to see that that lines up. Like if you're selling this incredible program and you've got all these amazing case studies, they want to look at your page and say, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's cohesive. I can see that person looks like the expert that would have gotten those results, right? If they don't see that, then there's a disparity there and you're not fully embodying your brand and embodying the offer and what you're selling. And people can really see that and really sense that. If you're selling something, like if I'm a personal trainer and I'm selling health and wellness and I'm like drinking every night, having crisps at every meal, like people can see that you're not healthy. Your eyes don't look really white. Your skin doesn't look great, whatever it might be. And people can just feel like you're not signifying to me like this vitality that I want, because people are kind of buying into what other people represent as well. And so it's so important to really look at what you're selling and really ask yourself, like, am I embodying that, And it's not about being the best. You don't have to be the best. Like, I'm not the most richest bajillionaire in the world. You know what I mean? I don't have the biggest company in the world, but I don't ever claim that. I say I'm making multiple six figures. I'm working 20 hours a week. I literally live on the beach. I have the most amazing clients, like all these things that a lot of people do want. Not everyone, but whoever does want that would see me as someone that's got what they want and that I can help, right? So it's not about faking it till you make it or anything like that. It's just really connecting to like the real thing that you're selling and what you can fully embody. Like if it's 10K months, you're selling 10K months. If it's 5K, you're selling 5K. You're not trying to pretend that you can help people get 20K months when you haven't been there. Okay. So it's really important to just embody that brand and really show up and build that credibility and leverage. And the final piece of the puzzle is having a system. Okay. Because I've also met so many people that have done 1 and 2 really well, but they don't have a system. And then they start taking it really personally, like, oh, there must be something wrong with me because, no one's buying. And so they start to internalize that as like a failure, or that they're not good enough, or that nobody likes them or nobody wants them, when actually they just don't have a system. I'm always blown away when I meet someone that is, making great money and just had like all these clients and they've never had a marketing system, because to me, I'm like, wow, like you're a unicorn. How have you done that? Because you don't even have a system to bring in clients. So that to me is like, wow, there's so much opportunity there. Imagine what you could be achieving if you had a system. It'd be like literally on steroids. And so that excites me. And for people like that, I would just say, if you feel like you really do have a great offer, you've got great clients, you get people in the door, but it's just not consistent, then you are so close. You are so close. And really to start scaling, you just need this last part, which is the system. And so I am a big fan of just like reverse engineering the traditional marketing funnel. Okay. So a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll spend 10 to 20,000 building this crazy hectic funnel with like landing pages and a lead magnet. And then that goes to like an upsell. And then that goes to an email sequence. And then they get this tag at the end of the 30 days and then that tag. And then it goes here and there and everywhere. And then go to a downsell. Like, no, that is just way too overcomplicated. You don't need that. And the thing is, at every single point of a funnel, at every single point, people drop off, right? Like that's just the way it works. It's like you get a percentage drop off at every step. So the more steps, the more chances you have to drop off. Now, the other thing is that people like things to be personalized to them, right? And so if you're creating this whole big funnel, to an extent, you have to make it a bit more broad to be able to fit with multiple different people. And so people can be going through the funnel and be like, actually, that's not really for me, So the less steps, the better. Like the faster we can get them direct to a sales call, in my opinion, is the best, because that's where you can really tailor what you're saying to that person. And so I prefer reverse engineering the funnel. Instead of building out this crazy hectic landing page with all these different bells and whistles, I prefer not to even build anything. Like with my clients, I just give them my funnel and they can just install it in their system. But it literally consists of like 2 pages that are so simple. One has a video on it, and then the next one just has a thank you page where they can book a call. That is it. And so the offer and the funnel that I teach really hinges on the quality of the offer and the quality of the steps within this really simple system. So it's like the quality of the personal brand, the quality of the offer, and then the quality of the sales goal. All things I teach within my program. But by being this narrow and simple with the approach, as you can imagine, you can just start getting absolutely laser sharp at each step. And so the way I look at business now is a series of constraints. Okay. So rather than saying, this isn't working, my business isn't working, nothing is working, which is such black and white thinking, it's looking at, okay, this is my funnel. I've got my brand. I've got my offer. I've got a video talking about the offer. And then I do a sales goal. And we've got a tracking sheet for all of this. And we look at, okay, where is the biggest constraint here? Meaning which part needs the most work? For example, sales, you really want to be closing at least 30% of your sales goals, higher if it's all organic. And if we can see that the percentage close rate there is like 10%, it's not like, oh my God, my funnel doesn't work. This isn't working. This is a disaster. It's like my biggest constraint in my business right now is the sales process. And so now I know I need to be so vigilant with the sales process and really start like recording all my calls and looking at what is going wrong here, doing a deep dive so that you get your close rate back up to where it should be. And then you maybe rework your script and you now have a script that just gets it every time. And so that is the area that we hyper focus on. And so with my clients, for example, they will send me their recordings of their sales calls and I'll review it with them and give them tweaks and feedback so that we can get that to the rate that it needs to be, right? If it was something like people were watching the video but not booking a call, okay, great. That tells us that the video, there's an issue there, right? There's something happening here where people are not going to the next step. Now, you might have a different type of funnel in your business. This is just the one that I teach and the one that I love and that really works for me and my clients, but it's the same principles that apply. We want it as simple as possible. The least steps, the better, so that we can get really analytical and make each step absolutely really just going so well and like a well-oiled machine. That's the first step. And the second step is really just having this funnel that is just going to be predictable again and again, that you're not chopping and changing and you've got like 5 different methods of getting clients and you're kind of half focused on all of them and it's scattered. We want to just have one main thing, one offer, one message, one sales system, because that is something that you can improve, right? And so that is the most important thing. And then your business becomes so simple because it's like, okay, I'm not getting enough leads. I've got a visibility problem. I need to get more content out or I need to run really simple ads. I also teach ads, really low risk, low cost ads in my program. And again, we're reverse engineering this whole thing because we haven't spent thousands of dollars building the funnel. We've such a simple funnel that it's live within like a week. We start running ads, really simple ads. And then within a couple of days, we can start seeing what messaging is working the best to get more people into the funnel. And it's so exciting when you can see that because it gives you all this insight into your business and your customer that you're like, wow, okay, when I talk about X, I get way more leads. And then you can start the next time you do ads, the next time you do content, you can focus more on X. So it gives you all this amazing data and insights and guidance as to what to do next. And it makes your business like gamified. Like it actually becomes so fun because you're just like, okay, cool. This is my system, my super simple system. Where is the biggest leverage? What is the biggest constraint at the moment? Okay, I need more leads. Let's put on another ad. Let's turn up the budget, whatever it might be. We get more people in. Okay, not enough people are actually booking a call. Let's tweak the video. Let's make that a little bit tighter. Let's change the messaging on that page. And the thing is, once you dial that in, for example, the video and the sales process, those really don't change. So they are like set for life. You've got this asset for life that is going to bring in leads and clients to your business. All that needs kind of constant updates are the ads. And you get into such a role with it. Like I love doing ads now. I just, every week I just record a couple of new ads. And it's so interesting because the ones that perform best for me are the ones that I just do off the cuff that are not even really produced or anything. So it's so simple. It's like my life now is just so simple. Wednesday is my day that I do client calls. Thursday is the day that I record a podcast. And after this, I'm going to record a couple of ads. I've got sourdough in the oven. I'll be at the beach with the kids for the rest of the afternoon. Friday, I look at all my metrics. I've just got everything in such a simple flow. And Monday, Tuesday, Friday are so flowy for me, which I love as a creative. Like, yes, I love to work, but it's not rigid. I can just be creative. I can think of new ideas. I can think of new strategies. And that's really critical as well to growing your business. Like, you have to be able to think. Like, I know that sounds obvious, but most of us do not have space in our lives to think. So it's like, we need space in our lives to think. We need space in our lives to actually grow and market our business, to actually record content, record ads, whatever it might be. And so once you have this really dialed in system, it's like the groundwork is done. And then life becomes so much easier. You just have this great rhythm and flow, and you're just constantly, perfecting these constraints within your funnel. And I just love when I see clients get to this point. I had a client recently, Rachel, who had never even had an Instagram account before, ever. And she opened her account. She had less than 100 followers, and she filled her program within 2 weeks. And she only spent $450. Like, mind blowing. And this is someone who has a 1 and 3-year-old. And the reason that she wanted to do her program was because she was sick of trading time for money as a speech pathologist, and she wanted to be with her kids more. And so it's not even just like seeing people get the financial results, but just seeing them be able to change their lifestyle and how their life operates, how flowy you can become. Like, systems set you free. Sometimes people are scared of systems. And yes, you can overdo it with systems. That's the other caveat. There's a quote that I love by Elon Musk before he went crazy that says something along the lines of, the biggest mistake that engineers make is to automate a system that should not exist. Okay, so that's the caveat. If you're someone that's like way too into the systems, then I'm like, okay, whoa. We need a couple of little systems that are like perfected. You don't need to be starting a new platform every second week, because sometimes people use automations and AI and systems as a form of procrastination. So that's the caveat. But when you have an amazing system that actually supports your life, that you're improving the same thing again and again and again, it really does set you free. It does not have to be overcomplicated. And that is exactly what I essentially help people to install within 90 days in my program. And so some food for thought for you. If it's something that you want to do, you want to reduce the hours that you have to work each week, you want to make great money, and you want to still really have an impact, because that's the other thing too. When I was in my agency, like, I don't feel like I was having that much of an impact, because if I looked at like my zone of genius is problem solving, it's creativity, it's, being able to piece things together, it's messaging, it's strategy. And when I was really running a big agency and a big traditional business, my role became managing the team, managing projects, kind of being like the office bitch that just did all the shit that no one really wanted to do, because like, I hired people to have certain roles, gave everyone else the fun jobs, the designers, the account managers. And then I was kind of the one just like, the boat was sailing along, and I was just looking for holes and like patching them up. And that was like my job, which is not even something that I love doing. It's not something I'm passionate about. It's not something I'm particularly good at. I kind of had to make myself good at it. And so now because my business is so much simpler, like a third of my time is actually spent with clients, like face to face on the front line, just like helping them, tweaking things with them, problem solving with them, being strategic, like all the things I love doing, but also that gives my clients so much value that is like uniquely my skill set. Like, I'm fully in my zone of genius. And then the rest of the time I'm working on the brand, working on strategy, again, zone of genius, but I'm using it for my clients and I'm using it for myself, whereas before in the past business model, I was just scattered. Like, I was not in my zone of genius. I was scattered. I was fried. And I wasn't doing what I loved. I was so stressed all the time. I had massive health issues, like my adrenals were absolutely shot, and just all of the things. And so to me now, what a successful business to me is one where I've got a calm nervous system, where I can flow with the week. I kind of know what I've got roughly in my schedule, but I'm not heavily scheduled. I can flow, I can think about new ideas, I can follow the things that excite me, I can feel like I'm really adding value. That is what works for me, and of course, making good money, that always helps. But that is what works for me. It's not about, being a bajillionaire. It really isn't. Like, if I can get there with ease, sure, why not? But I'm not willing to sacrifice my health and my family and my relationships and be stressed all the time. That's just not something that I'm interested in. And so if you can relate, then I hope this episode has helped. If you've any questions at all, like please, I would love to hear from you on Instagram over at Katie_OH. Any questions you have, any follow-ups that you'd like, because I'm so happy to do another episode, really diving into some of these elements even more. I love, love, love this topic. And this podcast is really going to be a mix of just the strategic things that are going to help you win, as well as the mindset that's going to keep you on track. So thank you so much for being here. If you stay till the end, I really, really, really appreciate you. And I hope you have an incredible rest of your week. I'll see you next week.